Welcome to Flow Tricks. It's Ken, and just wanted to get a little bit of a workout in before we started the live stream. I'm out of breath now, though. Let me know if the music's coming, or if the sound's coming in okay. Oh, look at this shaggy hair. This week I was considering, do I shave it, or do I just keep growing it out? Should I shave my head, or should I have this mop, this chia pet hair? But if that's really the worst of my concerns, then life is pretty good. Hope life is going good for everyone over there as well. I'm short one light today, so the lighting's going to look a little bit off. Lighting's going to look a little bit off today just because I'm short a light, so you'll have to excuse this insane brightness that you're seeing right now. Today is an open forum for Flow Tricks, so I'm just going to shout out whatever people are writing. Say hello to everyone. If you have any questions at all, this is the time to ask. Before we begin, I want to special thanks to Dark Monk for always making my training chucks as well as most of my fire gear. And then also thanks to Flow Toys for handling most of my LED gear. The nunchucks that you saw were Ignis chucks, the Pixel nunchucks by Ignis. If you want to know more about that, we can also talk about that if you have any questions about what I like, what could be improved, what I think about these as opposed to Flow Toys or anything like that. Please ask me. Ask away. Today's a question and answer day. So if you're stuck with your staff training or your nunchuck training and you've seen how I flow, if you want to pick my brain and get any ideas, or if you want to know, especially when COVID's done, what kind of performance tips or tricks or how to become a full-time performer, this is the perfect time to ask. So with that said, I'm going to go down the line. First, I'm going to check my Facebook because I know my YouTube is always busy, and then I always end up overlooking Facebook. So give me just a second here. Usually Facebook's pretty quiet. I get viewers, but I don't have a lot of questions as opposed to my YouTube channel. Okay, again, this is an open forum, so please feel free to drop in, ask questions. I'm going to go ahead and go to the YouTube side, and Yenderdale finally made it. Welcome. You're the first message too. Wells, you're awesome, man. Thank you. I appreciate it. Yundertail asked if I've ever considered anything like America's Got Talent. You definitely have chances of winning, and it'd be a nice way to get the world of freestyle nunchucks, since not many people do it, and that's really true. Not a lot of people know about freestyle nunchucks. So, maybe 8 years ago, me and a friend did an America's Got Talent audition, and we couldn't get past the first round. And here's the deal though. We drove down to Colorado, which was probably like a 8 to 10 hour drive. We drove down there thinking we might be able to do our fire dancing. And when we got there, well, they said no fire dancing. So we built this choreography and this routine based on fire dancing. But then once we got there, the venue wouldn't permit it. So I felt like we got a little shortchanged there. Just last year, I was contacted again by America's Got Talent, and my son really wants me to do it. But for me, I just, with AGT, you don't really get paid for it unless you win the big one. And I get it, it's not about money, but I just mean when I have other gigs that are keeping me afloat, especially because I'm not soaring with my gig. I'm getting just enough to get by so I can keep doing what I love doing. So I get concerned if I leave. For instance, this year I was offered a position to perform for 8 months. Where was it? It was some tropical location where I would just perform 5 days a week for 8 months. And it was enough. It was good pay, but I just didn't want to be away from everything because I would lose Flow Tricks. I would lose my performances here at home. And I felt like when I came back, I would just come back to everything halted and stopped. And so for me, it's like, I just want to make sure like that I keep feeding you guys good information and I keep my business going. So that's another concern I have with a lot of these is just, I just want to make sure I can keep doing this because you guys are kind of like the number one, you know, like my performance is here and flow tricks and all of that. Like this is my home base and I don't want to forget about y'all. All right. Yeah, I have considered AGT for sure. I just don't know. Like if I had my choice, I'd rather make it with Patreon and make it with you guys like one person at a time through YouTube or whatever. I'd rather do that. Like I'd feel better with a success like that than AGT because it just feels like I worked for every single, like I earned it. It's an uphill battle, I know, but it just feels good because I also get to do it on my own terms. I don't have to pretend to be like I'm someone else. I do it the way that I like to, because especially when you're on TV and stuff, they want you to be a certain way, fit some certain stereotype, and some of it's drama and some of it's even made up just for extra ratings. I don't know. But then here it's just like, I'm just me, I've got here's a crappy webcam and I'm just talking to you guys being real. I really like that, Even if it gets me less views, I'd rather do that and be real. Best in list. Hey Ken, your stream's extremely helpful for many folks. For many folks. So thank you. Wish you good too, man. I hope everyone's happy, everyone's healthy throughout this craziness for sure. Caesary says thank you for early live streaming. Oh, great. Yeah, I'm trying to kind of jump back and forth between it. Got a few more here. Let's see. Yandertail says impressive flow. Thank you. Dropkick Corpse. Hey, what's going on? I remember you. I'm having trouble thinking of ways to transition out of the finger wheel and out of chain unwinders. Can you show some good transitions? Okay, so transitioning out of the wheel and chain unwinders. Let's first figure out, whenever you think of transitions, you have to think of a couple things. Well, you don't have to. Let's go ahead and go over there real quick. So when we're thinking about transitions out of wheels or out of anything really, we have to think first, I'm going to turn off this light. Let me just see. Hopefully this won't be too dark. Come on now. There we go. Is this okay? Okay, that's a lot darker. We're going to try this for a little bit. If this is too dark, let me know. Whenever we're transitioning out, like say we're transitioning out of a wheel right now, right? Where do you go from here? Well, it depends on what grip you end up in. So the first question you have to figure out, like when you're wondering about transitions, is what's your exit strategy for the wheel? So if you're doing a wheel like this, how are you getting out of it? What are you catching? If you're stopping like this, if you just kind of crunch your fingers forward and you grab it like this, then you're going to naturally be in two front grips. And the way I'm just doing that is just kind of slowing it down until it just stops, and then I just grip down. Being in two front grips, you can go into infinite horizontal X catches if you know. I mean, you can go into moon waves. Two front grips is a really nice place to be. Me personally, I like to go into a wheel and then go to one finger, and then as soon as I run out of space, I pinch it between my pointer finger and my middle finger, which allows me to grab it into a front grip. And as you know, once you get into a front grip, you can do a lot. Actually, I'm going to turn this light back on. It is a little blinding up in the corner, but it really I feel like it fills it out a little bit more. Again, once I gotta get my light back, I'm down to light right now. So as we're doing this right here, if you go to one hand and then you're able to slide into a front grip, you can pretty much do anything. You can rip it back into a figure 8 wrist roll, or anything you can do with a front grip, you can do here. So we can go into finger rolls right afterwards, like alternating. If we're doing a wheel from here, figure out where your transition point is. You can stop your hands, which will cause them to wrap, and then go the other direction for that matter. So one transition would just be to stop and then rotate the opposite way. So you can practice this combination too. Rotate, stop, and you're kind of trying to stop right on the tabs here. So you want to stop here. That way when they stop, they'll wrap. And that will kind of cause it to want to reverse directions because we give it enough space to where it can wrap around our finger and stop. Kind of like an S, or like an X catch, how it kind of wraps and it has this kind of parallel, but it's kind of offset at the same time, both chucks. It's the same thing. We're going to give it a little bit of slack so it has enough room to kind of bounce off my finger, and then we can rotate it backwards. So here, stop, rotate it backwards, and drop it. Definitely the dropping part is the most important. So there's a couple options for you. If you're talking about horizontal wheels, this is great because, again, Everything depends on what grip you're ending in. We usually end in a pencil grip, which is good for a thumb roll. And once you're done with a thumb roll, you're going to end back in the front grip, which again opens up just about every move. Anytime you end in a front grip, you're good. So the question of how do you transition in and out of certain moves, really what you want to think about is what's your grip ending like when you're doing these moves, because that will dictate what you can do. The direction of the chuck and the grip that you have will make all the difference in what kind of transitions you can do. So it may not be what you're going into, rather how you're ending it. So kind of look at the end game. The other question you had was, oh, let me see what that other question was. Give me just a second here. Got a little bit of a... Oh, chain unwinders. Okay, chain unwinders is the exact same thing. If we're doing a chain unwinder here, right? The nicest, easiest way to get out of it is to grab it by the thumb. So you see the rope is by the thumb? If I cross grab over here, it becomes a front grip. So go into the chain unwinder. As it's going up, you're gonna see where the thumb's at right here. If I cross grab over here and I grab it, it becomes a front grip, which again makes everything nice and easy. So we're waiting here, slide through and grab. And from there we can bounce, we can do all different kinds of tricks. It just depends on your technique to get out. I'm assuming the other way too. I've never really done it the opposite way, but as this is pointed upwards, you could probably grab it into a back grip as well on top. Just kind of look at, like when these are resting, what you can grab to it. You can grab it on top of here, you can grab underneath here. But me personally, I usually just cross grip and let go. That's a good one to get out of. Or I throw it. So I wind it up all the way when the chuck, and my left hand, when the chuck is going clockwise, this is a great winding motion. I can lift my hand and twist, and that will launch it in the air, turning it into a throw. So that time I'm doing the chain unwinder, but now I'm just lifting it up and keeping my hand open. That'll throw it in the air, and then, you know, you have all the different transitions and combos you can do from a throw, which is, you know, pretty much whatever you want to do or what you can do from there. So take it into a throw might help. Another option, and it's a little bit more advanced, is if we're using the left hand, when you're wrapped all the way and you're going clockwise, as it goes counterclockwise, you can let the rope wrap underneath the thumb and it becomes a thumb roll that you can catch into a front grip. So it's here, wraps all the way once it's going clockwise, and as it unwinds, it goes into a thumb roll, into a front grip. And again, you're gonna be doing a front grip with counterclockwise rotation, and you can do whatever you want from there. This one does require a little bit of space, so really jut that thumb out, and it's not gonna have a lot of rotations because you're already in the chain. So it's gonna have less rotations, and sometimes that will throw it off. If you don't have it right, you could lose this grip because you're already in the chain, so it's not gonna have, you may have one or even two less rotations, so keep that in mind as well. So those are some options for you. Some of them are gonna be a little bit easier, some are gonna be a little bit harder, but all of them are worthwhile for sure. All right, I'm gonna see if there's any more questions. I'm gonna check Facebook really quick too, because I always get questions on Facebook and I don't see it. Yeah, I'm like extremely blinding today. I haven't died, I'm not just down a light. And strangely, when you're down a light, everything gets brighter, because when I turn the other one on, then this whole thing can be darker. But since I have this darkness, it's trying to compensate, and now I have like this super shiny face with this, this duality, which is kind of cool, I guess. All right. Again, this is live stream, so if you have any questions, a live stream open forum. So if you have any questions, please feel free to ask any question you want right now, because this is what I'm here for. Since it's so early, I'm gonna do a little bit of training, but keep the questions going. And then I'll return back in a couple minutes, and hopefully we'll get a few questions going. Otherwise, I'll just keep going through it. I'll play some music and jam out just a hair. All right. I always get not copyright strikes, but it just, I always get these notifications because I play all these great songs. It's funny. On my Spotify. But I don't care. I want some good music. All right. Aw. Whatever. I'm gonna show you guys this new doubles move I've been working on that I think is really cool. Watch. Here, right? So what we're gonna do is if you look to the side, I'm gonna actually I'm gonna try to wrap it I'm gonna wrap it into the chuck and grab it here, and then slide it out, like that. So, here, grab, slide, but in fast motion it's gonna look like this, right? And I'm gonna grab it, and then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pull it out like this. So I have a loop on this side, and this one's nice and clean. I'm gonna hold it really close to the edge, and I'm gonna wrap it, like that. This locks the chuck like no other, so they're like locked really good. They'll eventually come apart, and I haven't figured out what to do once they do come apart, but that's a good locking mechanism. I'm gonna go over it a couple more times because I think it looks neat. Here, I'm gonna go to the side. This wraps underneath the chuck here. The reason why it wraps under here is so I can get a solid grip before I pull it out into the rope. Because once you go into the rope, if you miss your shot at all or even a little bit, it's really flimsy and it's really hard to control, and you could mess up the rotation. So you do it on the chuck itself and slide it out into here to do your wrap, like that. Then it's nice and tight, and you can do all kinds of crazy moves. You basically lock the doubles in until it comes free, which I haven't completely figured out yet, but that's a cool doubles move, right? Off with your head. You can also do like moon waves. So like moon waves. We can do it too though. Here, here, there. So we're using the chucks as our hands to lock them in place, to wrap them like that. So if I'm sitting here, they're moving into each other's territory, whoosh, like that. Moving in, but I'm grabbing this one, I'm letting this one fall into the top of my hand, just like we do an S catch. If you understand the S catch, this one here, like that, where this is landing on top of the hand and this one's grabbing it, grab, land. It's the same thing with two of them. There's the land right here. See, it's landing on top of the hand, and this one's grabbing it. So then what we do is we pop this one over to down, and we have the moon wave. So here, grab, like that. It's no different than one where we go here, pop, pop. Weird. It's cool. I'll show you. This is the prerequisite to this is an S catch. If you can do an S catch, I'll show you how this works. An S catch is basically where we pull the rope around the pointer finger and it goes to the top of the hand, right? This is with the singles, by the way. So we're in two front grips, pointer finger moves over, pop it over the top like that. This one opens up and goes over our thumb and we catch it. That's an S catch because it looks like the letter S. Pretty simple, right? So S catch, and then since this is on top, we pop it up with our finger and it rotates to the other side. So pop it up, grab, and we're in the moonwave position now. So we moonwave out. So 1, 2, 3. And it's similar to what we're doing here. 1, 2, 3. So this singles move is now a doubles move. Boom, boom, boom. A couple other things, we can just bounce back and forth even just to give like this crazy illusion. It's no different than if we're just, okay, doing it with one hand is a little bit tricky because it's like we're transitioning fingers to make this work, which means as we're spinning it, the hand that's pinching it exchanges with the thumb and this exchanges with the pointer finger mid-spin, which is kind of crazy, so it's a little bit harder. But so if you think about it in this way, the hand that's on the bottom, see where my thumb's at? It's gonna pinch over to my pointer finger like that. It's gonna rotate to the top, so now it's on the top, and vice versa. This one's on top of the pointer finger, it's gonna rotate underneath the thumb. And if we do it at the same time, then we've completely shifted gears to the other side. It's pretty hard because you have to do this, you have to change your fingers very quickly if you look really closely. I'm trying to go slow, but if you go too slow, you can't. But you can kind of see the exchange that's happening there. But it's the same thing. We can go here to an S catch, to an S catch, to a pop to a moon wave. So if we do the S catch pop to moon wave, we can also go S catch to pop to moon wave. Like that. And you can also turn this into a wheel, but you have to give it a little bit of slack, because when we're in the S catch, you're kind of to the inside, but you have to get this elbow around in order to get the wheel started. So if you understand the S catch and you understand the wheel, then the transition here is almost like we're popping our shoulder forward, but then we're taking our fingers and pushing it into the wheel position. Like that. So that'll look like this. Whoosh. Oh, I missed it. The problem is my thumb wants to guide it, but it's all pointer fingers for this one. If your thumb, like, you want to kind of pull it into your thumb so you can get into the other S catch, but what's really happening is you're redirecting it with your pointer finger the whole time. That's a little bit tricky. All right, I think I see some questions. So I'm gonna come back in here. Okay, so those are a little bit tricky nunchuck moves, but I think they're fun, and I think some of you guys have seen a lot of basics and you're a little bit beyond that. Not everyone. And if you have basics questions, definitely ask too. All right, I'm going to double check on questions and answer whatever y'all want to hear. Okay, on the Flowtricks page, on my Facebook Flowtricks page, I see. Oh, Dagon Bites says you're amazing. Thank you. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. I just love spreading the knowledge of the art. It's awesome. Okay. Dropkick Corp says thank you. You're most welcome. I hope that helps. I hope you got some good transitions out of that. Yandertail says, I can do the double digit rolls, but I'm struggling with the triple because I can't find any tutorials for it. Can you cover it? Yeah, absolutely. Let's do it. Triple digit roll. Now, mind you, I can't do a quadruple. So some people can do all 5 fingers. I can't do that. I can do 3 fingers tops, just because pointer finger the ring finger gets a little weird, because, you know, like you guys know that it's really hard to just lift your ring finger up without any other finger. But we can do it. I can show you from the middle finger. We're gonna go from middle finger to pointer finger to thumb. It's gonna look like this: middle finger, pointer finger, thumb. All right. So this triple digit roll, what's gonna be awkward about it is you really have to loop it harder with your middle finger and stick your middle finger straight up. You're actually gonna be flipping yourself off more than anything. You kind of want to keep it like this. So what's gonna happen is you're gonna do kind of the same thing. Like we're gonna do these horizontal bounces like so. And when it's on the same side, we're gonna give it a nice spin. But if you look over, like if there was a camera over my head, my hand would look like this, whoosh. Like it's kind of pulling itself backwards towards my body, and that's what's causing a lot of the motion. Because it's going over 3 fingers, we have to make sure it's faster so we can keep it going. So once we do this, whoosh, it's gonna go until you can feel, it's gonna roll around your middle finger until you start to feel the other side. Once you feel the nunchuck, because you know you can feel the string, so it's a feeling thing. Once you feel the edge of it, you just stick out your pointer finger and pinch it just for a second, and then you let go with your middle finger, and then it rotates down with the pointer finger. And then the same thing happens. The moment your pointer finger feels something solid outside of, not the rope, then you stick your thumb up and let it roll past again. So in all one motion, it's middle finger, pointer finger, thumb. And if you look, the transition is always happening when I reach the end and I feel the nunchuck and I pinch it on the other side like this. It's almost always grabbing the chuck right here. So I'm gonna try to do it slowly, but it's kind of hard to demonstrate. But watch where my finger transition. Not on the rope, it's right here. It's that one transitioned right here, right on the chuck, right here. And then it rotated into the next finger, and then it got to the next finger, and then I pulled it over. I just basically put my thumb on the other side, and then it rotated back. Middle finger, pointer finger, thumb. If I go faster, it's easier. Middle finger, pointer finger, thumb. Oops. Middle finger, pointer finger, thumb. It's a lot easier to go faster than slower, but you can't really see the transition too well. It's a feeling thing. You're always doing your exchange the moment you feel this part. The moment you exit the rope is when you do the next part, and it's always on the opposite side of wherever your finger is currently at. That's the trick of the move. So, do you see that grip right there would look like that, and then it kind of pushed itself into this one, and then as soon as this one comes up, it's gonna be the same thing. I grab it with the back of my thumb, and I push it this way, causing the last rotation. Hopefully that helps. So middle finger, pointer finger, thumb. All right. you still have questions about that, definitely let me know. With digit rolls, I feel like a lot of digit rolls are always about what do you do the moment your finger hits the hard part, the solid part of the chuck. As long as you're in the rope side, you're fine. You just need to keep doing what you're doing. You need to just keep the momentum going. It's the moment that you hit the solid part of the chuck is when a transition needs to happen right away. So whenever you're thinking about how to do digit rolls at all, always think of that. Whenever you're in the flexible part, don't worry about it. Just keep it going until you feel the solidness of the chuck, and then you gotta like transition quickly. Nunchuckism says, greetings from Germany. Hey, welcome, welcome. Maddie says hello. Best of the best. Thanks. You know, again, this is a live stream, so let me know if you have any questions at all. I'm more than happy to answer them. I'll probably do the stream for about another half hour or so get those questions in. If you're struggling with any move, if you have a video that you'd even like me to review, actually I think I have a video I need to review right now, but if you have a video you want me to review, send me an email, ken.flowtricks@gmail.com, ken.flowtricks@gmail.com. Even if I don't get to it this week, if we can always get to it next Sunday, because we're going to be doing these every Sunday. All right. With that said, I do want to check out. I forgot his name, unfortunately. I have this video saved, and he had asked me to review his staff work, and give him advice for where he can go next. So we're going to go check it out and see. Let's see. Boom. I don't know if you can hear that. I don't know if you guys can hear that, but he said he's been practicing for some years, and he's just kind of stuck as to where he wants to go with his staff training. So he just wants to know some ideas. So I'm gonna go check it out and see what he can do. So right there, he's got the rotor, and he's passing it into like a half pin wheel and back to the rotor. That's a good one. And we got figure eights. That's good.
I kind of started doing stuff like this, you know. I mean, just
yeah, we got the rotors in the front. That happens to me all the time. Don't worry.
I mean, other than just, you know, doing this stuff, you know.
Yeah.
This stuff and some occasional little finger whirling. Really, that's all I know.
Oh man, this is great. So.
I was hoping if you can help me out a little bit, you know, and tell me what I can do.
I will. I can do that. I know. I have lots of ideas. The cool thing is you have a lot of options from where you're at. So you can do the figure eight, which is good. You can do the rotor, which is great. You can also do this rotor to behind the back pass to a rotor, which is great too. But we want to kind of add a little bit more dynamics, right? So the first thing that I've noticed with what you're doing is everything is kind of in front of you. So your figure eight is here and your rotor is here, right? So what I'd like to see you do is I'd like to see you take those moves and figure out how you can combo them together. Because right now, if we're doing this rotor, we have to stop the motion to push it forward, right? So there's not an easy combo that can happen here. It kind of is like this awkward stopping and moving, and then we go back to here. Now, your rotor to this behind the back pass is great, but I'm gonna show you a little trick. When you're doing your figure eight here, this is good, but if you do your figure eight to your left, you can transition between these moves. So we are doing a rotor pass here. Instead of doing a figure eight in front of you, grab it with your left hand and do a figure eight over to your side like this. So if I were to look to the left, it would kind of be like the same figure eight that you were doing, but I'm holding it over to the left. What this does is this allows you to move directly from the flow. Do you see the staff is turning in the same direction, but as I grab it with my left hand, it doesn't stop direction. Nothing has changed except for I make these really awesome circles to the side. And the cool thing about that is this other move that you're doing this rotor pass, and you're passing it behind you and rolling it back in front. You can do the same thing from the figure eight if you did it over to the side instead. So we do the rotor, we go over to the figure eight, and when the hand is behind, you can pull it straight back into that same pass and back to the front. So what you're missing, I think, is the idea of a transitional system that you can use so you can keep the flow going. So I would challenge you to work on what I call the box. And the box is rotor pass in the front. So whenever you're not sure and you need to do something in front of you, do a rotor pass. And then whenever you're not sure and you need to go to the side, do a figure 8. Because they flow together. There's no stopping this motion here, see? They move together. There's no stopping it. It just looks like one natural thing. And when you are moving to behind you, do a pinwheel, which is what you're kind of doing. You're doing half of it. You're doing this back pass, right? This back pass is part of the pinwheel, but the rest of it goes over the head like this. So this is behind your back. If you default to this, the cool thing is we've never stopped our motion. So I could go straight from this rotor pass, and as you take it behind your back, you can just keep going. It doesn't stop. And then we can pull it back to the front. Or we can pull it over to a figure 8 to the left and back to here. No matter what you're doing, if you work in this box-like motion, rotors from the front, figure 8 to the back, or to the left, pinwheel to the back, and lastly, reverse figure 8 on the right. That's 4 moves. Reverse figure 8's on the right. And the reverse figure 8 transitions into the rotor pass, transitions into the figure 8, transitions into the pinwheel, transitions into the reverse figure 8. You see, it's endless. We now have this box that we can do. I usually have flow lights in here, and this is exceptionally light today. I don't know where I put my flow lights, but this is like spinning a twig. So we're over here again, and it's going to be the same thing. I can go the opposite way too. So I'm doing my rotor pass. I transfer to my right hand, reverse figure 8, bring it over the head, and then we have the pinwheel. Bring it to the left, we have the regular figure 8, and bring it to the front, and we have the rotor pass. From there, you can add little variations. For instance, if you're doing your rotor pass, you can always throw it when it's in your left hand, and you lift it up. So if you want some variety up here, once you transition it to your left hand, lift it up to where your palm's facing the sky, and throw it in the air. So now you can go rotor pass, throw, grab, figure 8 to the side, rah, pinwheel to the back, rah, reverse figure 8 here, and you can just transition between them. Now then, the last thing I'm going to challenge you to do is to skip between them. So if you're doing the rotor pass, don't go straight into the figure 8. Go directly behind you into the pinwheel, directly in front of you back to the rotor pass. And vice versa. If you're doing the reverse figure 8 here, don't go forward or back. Go 2 directions over. Skip this one and go straight into there. So we're here, and what's going to happen is it's going to pass to the other hand, and it becomes a figure 8. Going to pass to the other hand, and it becomes a reverse figure 8. Whoosh! Oh. Yep. It doesn't matter. The most important thing is you know the concept of what I'm doing. Give me just a second here. The craziest thing just happened. What in the world? Something happened and my main camera just disappeared. Okay, that's weird. Give me just one more second, guys. Having some technical difficulties. Something completely disappeared, like my main camera just disappeared and I don't know where it went to. Hold on. Okay, there we go. I was having some technical difficulties. You have to excuse me. So, I think with everything, like staff training goes with nunchuck training, and the fact that when you learn a technique, it's almost equally, if not more important, to understand how this technique transitions between moves. So anytime you learn a new move, whether it's chucks or martial arts or anything, it's really important to know how to transition into other moves. And if you have to modify it so it transitions, do it, because otherwise there won't be a place in your flow for it. And it'll be the same thing with your nunchuck training as well. When you learn a nunchuck move, right, the next thing you do is you figure out combos that make the nunchuck move to where you can actually put it in your flow. So once you get the nunchuck move down really good, start working on combos that it transitions in out of. And once you get that, then there's one more that you can go further by looking at the transition itself. So, okay, these are the techniques that go into this move. Now look at the transition itself and really work on making it look like it's one movement. Because you can see when people have a lot of techniques, but they have never worked on connecting those techniques together. It's kind of like if I could say sentences, but there's still no flow between the words or my inflection. You know, it loses the life, it loses the blood. So in the same way that I talk, where my voice gets higher or lower, or I talk faster or slower, the transitions that you use in your chucks are going to do the same thing. So make sure that you make it breathe and speak, because that's going to be what really grabs the audience, or even yourself. You'll just feel like you're working with this living, breathing thing, as opposed of technique to technique to technique to technique, which is fine too, but it's just more like a sport than an art form in that particular moment. Real quick before we continue forward again, I always just got to put this out there. This is I was a full-time performer until COVID hit, and so right now I'm just focusing on flow tricks as much as I can. So if you do appreciate these videos, I would love it if you dropped a little tip or a donation. My one-time donations at paypal.me/flowtricks, and you can just send whatever, even if you just want to buy me a cup of coffee, that'd be pretty awesome. Also, my Patreon page is an ongoing monthly support, and I'm also, when I work on the nunchuck encyclopedia, I'll probably be regularly releasing those videos onto the Patreon as well, just to have something to feed, because it's going to be a lot of work, which I'm planning to start next week, by the way. I'm planning to do some of the first recordings of the nunchuck encyclopedia next week. So that's pretty exciting. Even if you can't, though, don't sweat it. I understand COVID is really tough, but I just always want to bring that out there, because that's how I make my support now, at least in this chapter. And quite honestly, after COVID's done, I'm hoping I don't lose this momentum. I would love to keep moving forward with stuff like this, because this feels some sort of purpose that I don't always get with performing, and then I really like it. Okay, so with that said, I'm going to go ahead and read off some more questions and see. All right, Neanderthal, got it. Okay, Maddie says hello. Oh wait, I already did that one. Neanderthal says thanks, you're most welcome. What's your best aerial training by nunchakuism? Really quick, Prane3636 also asked if I accept Google Pay. I've actually never set it up before, but I'll try. I probably won't be able to have it this week, unfortunately, but I'll definitely try to get something going with Google Pay. I've just never set it up yet, but I could try it and have it ready by next week. That'd be awesome. I got one more question too, so let's just conquer both of these. First, best aerial training, and then second, can you show how to make combos? What rules should follow during that? Also, footwork. Ooh, these are good questions. Can you tell me a little bit about how to move so the performance will look better? All these are fantastic. That's a big question, and interestingly enough, the first 3 years of my nunchuck training, I was technique man. I was doing crazy cool techniques, and now I'm all about combining them together and making them speak. So I'm not as technical as I used to be, but I'm able to connect them a little bit better. And when I do performances, when you do a performance, it's definitely, people don't measure you by how skilled you are, rather how you present those skills that you have. Meaning, just because the crowd loves you doesn't mean you're doing the hardest move, but you are connecting with them. And so, yeah, that's based on your movement and your power and everything else. So I would love to talk about that. So first, let's talk about my best aerial training. I'm gonna go back here. When you say my best aerial training, I'm going to assume, how do I train to catch things? That's what I'm going to assume. I mean, you may be asking me also what's the best throw that I can do, and it's probably always going to be the front to back hand roll. So I'm doing this front to back hand roll here, and in back grip, as it's spinning down below, I release. It's one of my favorite moves because it just launches so high. It's just like, whoosh. Yep. I'm trying not to hit my ceiling here, but here, there. It's just the launcher, and when I'm outside, I can throw it whoosh really high. And when I have fire nunchucks and I throw it, the crowds just love it, and it just feels good to just rah, and grab it. I can show you how to do that move if that was the question, or if you're just wondering how do I catch throws a little bit easier, that's just based on spotting. I can't tell you the best way to catch your throws. Let's just go over this really quick. Whenever you do a throw, there's two things to keep in mind. Lift and twist. Lift and twist, okay? So if I want to make it go higher, I give it more lift, which is a push. It's like a pushing move. So for instance, if I'm doing a front-to-front hand roll, to get it higher, I lift my hand faster up and down like this. So higher, I lift my hand up. If I don't want it so high, I don't lift it up so high, and it doesn't go very high, right? The other thing to consider is if I want it to rotate faster, I give it a twist. Now these are obvious things, but you want to start training and thinking about this. So as my hand goes up to release, if I take my elbow and pop it out like this, and I give it a twist, it's going to have a lot more rotation than if I don't pop it at all. See? More rotation this way, which makes it harder to catch. So what you do when you're first learning new throws is you give a lot of lift and very little twist. And that's with anything. So even if I'm doing this right here, give it a lot of lift, not a lot of twist, and it doesn't go very fast. But if I give it a lot of twist, it spins really fast and it's hard to control. And that's because I gave it a flick. So when you train your aerials, the first thing you do is work on a lot of lift. And as soon as you get good with catching it, say you can catch it like 50 times in a row, then start giving it a flick. Start flicking a little bit more, get more rotations in there and challenge yourself and see how many rotations you can get before you catch it. That's probably the best way that I can say to train your throws. Now let's go over my favorite horizontal throw, which is we're going horizontally, we're doing bounce to bounce, we're bouncing it horizontally off of the triceps. Same side, boom, do this bounce. We're gonna do a front to back hand roll like this, and then it's gonna be rotating underneath me like so. Now the moment the chuck is here, I'm gonna straighten out my hand and I'm gonna do the lift. Remember when I was talking about the lift? I'm gonna do the lift, but right before I let go, I'm gonna flick it backwards and open it up. So here, do the lift, flick. Now, as long as I don't flick too hard and I just give it a nice lift, it's not gonna go very high. But the moment I really kind of flick my fingers back and really take it backwards, you can just launch that thing to no other. So front to back hand roll, let it roll down like this, and then I'm flicking it that way. Boom. Spotting, the catching of this is as it's rotating up in the sky. When you first start, protect your face because you could hit yourself in the eye. So protect your face, use your other hand, and the chuck that's coming closest to your face right here is the one you're gonna grab, and you're gonna grab it in the same direction. You're gonna grab it in the same direction of the catch or even this direction of the catch. So as the chuck is spinning, say it's spinning this way, I'm gonna snatch it out. And as I snatch it out, I'm gonna grab it, but I'm gonna keep moving my hand, and that's gonna allow it to keep momentum going. So as it goes up, I'm gonna grab it, but as I grab it, I'm gonna keep moving it. That way the chuck just kind of falls in line and keeps moving without stopping at all. So I answered both of those questions. That's my favorite throw. It's been for years, I just love it. And then that's also how to make your throws better, is start looking at the flick and start looking at the lift. And both of those together will give you all different kinds of throws. So the next question, can you show how to make a combo? What rules should follow? Okay, combo training is very simple. What is the direction of the chuck and what is the grip of your hand? Those are the two most important directions. If the chuck is facing one direction like this, I can't do a back-to-back hand roll ever this way. You can do a front to front, but the back-to-back, it has to be going the other way. Once we go the other way, we become a front to front, and then it becomes a back-to-back like this. The reason why is because this technique can only work in this direction in my right hand. I can't do a back-to-back here. It's always going to be a front to front, right? You may be able to circumvent those rules. You may invent a technique that defeats what I'm trying to say, but it doesn't change the point that every technique has a direction, and oftentimes these directions only go one way. And you can think of it like this. If my chuck is spinning counterclockwise, I can do certain moves like the rotor pass, right? But if I'm using my right hand like this changes the rotor pass. No longer can my hand grab over here. It's gonna have to grab over here, and it's gonna be a different kind of move. It'll be like a cross grab kind of move over the top. It's no longer the rotor pass that we know and love, where it's connected and underneath. And so when you're thinking of combos, you can sit down. Here's something that I would highly recommend is you can do this yourself too. Start writing down what direction the techniques of your chucks are and write them on index cards and start categorizing them. Okay, here's the counterclockwise. Here's all the moves that are counterclockwise. Here's a circular spin. Here's a rotation. We can do anti-spins in this direction. What else can we do? We can do rotor passes, right? Throw them on index cards and shuffle them up, and then throw them out there. Throw out like 3 different ones and create a combo out of that. What else can we do? We can do a dolphin throw. We can do a drop. Those are my favorites. I'm just like Butterfingers today. You know, 2 hours before I started this live stream, I thought it'd be a great idea to jog and lift weights because I've been trying to stay in shape every day, and I jog and walk 3.5 miles a day. I've been doing it for almost a month, but man, I'm tired. Anyways, so you've got a dolphin throw, right? You've got a front to front hand roll. You've got syncopated wrist rolls, right? And it goes on and on. We have a bounce, which will change the direction. Maybe you can create a new card for that. Put them in index cards and then flip 3 random ones out and figure out how you can make a combo out of that. That's gonna be great training. You'll be in the play state. It'll be great training for you to figure out how to make moves connect together on your own without me telling you. Because if you look at me, you're gonna have to just go with everything I teach you when there's thousands of combinations, thousands and thousands of combinations. Grab some index cards, combine them together, throw out 3 random techniques, and then figure out how you can make that work. And it'll create something in you that will let you make your own style. And it'll be great. I'll be happy for you. Footwork. Can you tell me how to move so the performance will look better? So the trick with footwork when you're doing nunchucks or any other art is you have to practice footwork as the technique. So if I'm doing the move, you don't want to think about footwork once you're performing or once you're in flow. You have to already figure it out. Otherwise, what I often see is when I say, hey, just add a little bit more footwork, if they haven't worked it out in their training, it'll just kind of look like this. Like they'll move, but it's not quite in sync with their motion. So the thing that you really want to start working on is are your techniques connected with your footwork as a technique, as a whole movement? So do it together. For instance, there's a motion like a behind the back pass here, whoosh, right? That has to be worked on. That's a technique. It's very different than this one just because of the footwork, but that's all it is. So I'll give you an example. Anything that deals with behind the back passes or behind the neck passes are fantastic. So here's an easy footwork drill, which is you have it in your right hand. If you have it in your left hand, it's just gonna go the opposite way. We're going counterclockwise. My right foot takes a step to where my back is towards the audience, but I do not change the direction of this chuck. It's still staying in front of me, it's still staying to the front, it's not crossing over. And then I'm gonna turn, and then I'm gonna basically pass it behind, same stick grab, behind my back, but I'm not gonna let it go. So here's 1, here's 2, we're gonna do a same stick pass, 3, and then 4, I just turn around again. So practice that. 1, 2, is that, okay, cool. 3, 4. And then when you do your rotor pass, for instance, you can go right into it and you just added that footwork like it was nothing, like it just becomes part of the flow. You know, and you can add it in again. Okay, so what I did there, I'll show you what I did there just because you notice it's a little bit different. Basically, as I do the pass here, as I'm turning back, I'm just doing a front to back hand roll. That's it. That's the only thing I've added there and it looks so great. So it's like here, front to back hand roll into whatever, see? But first, start working on this, but this hand roll is so easy to do. 1, 2, 3, this is where you can do the hand roll. 4, right? Then the other way, there's also another way. If the chuck is spinning the opposite direction, if it's spinning clockwise, you can't pass it behind your back. Well, I suppose you could. It's more like an anti-spin. It would be really awkward. You'll notice it'll fumble itself out more. So if it's going the opposite way, you want to practice the opposite direction. So 1, see it's going clockwise. This is going to be a little trickier. So we have to go up. 2, now we go up. So 3, 4. So if it's going this way, it goes underneath. And if it goes this way, it goes over our head. And now, if you use this as a transition, you have a basis for footwork where you can at least add some turns whenever you want. Even if you just learn one of them, just throw it in like every couple combos. Just throw in that move and you at least have some footwork. Now there's so many more different ways that you can add your footwork, but it's always the same thing. It's always working and drilling out where you're gonna be in space. What if I stood here? How would that look, you know? Or what if I stood here? You know, how would I move to accentuate some of these motions? One of the biggest things that people, I think, make the mistake of is they go so fast with their hand that their body cannot possibly keep up. So their body just kind of sits still and they're just like, you know, I mean, it's going, but their body doesn't want to move to it as much. As if, you know, even if I just swung my shoulders, you can feel more power than if, even if it has the same amount of power, it just doesn't look the same. Wow. As if I stopped, I moved with it, you know? A lot of good pauses, big poses, snap, hold, you know what I mean? Eye contact. What was that? That was just this, a number 3 bounce. A number 3 bounce, this is great. It's a number 3 bounce with a 180-degree turn and another number 3 bounce. And I did it like 4 times. So it looks like it's really fast, but it's really just boing, 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 boing. But as I do it, you notice my hand is moving. I'm like in different poses. So now all of a sudden, it looks like it's something else, because it is, because my body's communicating something a little bit differently every time this bounce is happening. And the audience will also see it as something different as well. And to me, it's just like really important to do that. It's almost like trying to communicate with words. Some words have the same meaning, you know? Some words have the same meaning, but how you say it in the story could give it a completely different context. So play with the way that your body moves. Look in the mirror a lot. If you want help with poses, look at comic books. Comic books are great. They have a good foundation for just creating this feeling or this image. Just like when they land from a fall, they never just kind of fall and they're like, boom, I'm here. You know, they're like, rah, and they're out and they're wide and they look all like sharp. There's a reason for that. More than just that it looks cool, but it gives a certain feeling of control. So that's what I would recommend with that. All right. Caesar says, thanks. You're most welcome. Yeah, no. I mean, for this topic, I could go on and on and on about different forms of footwork, but that's the foundation of footwork, is going to be that spinning behind the back pass and the over the neck pass. Both of those are really great foundations. And if you get those, then next time we have a live stream, just ask me again and I'll tell you where to go from there. But if I were to have you start somewhere, those 2 moves are going to be, in my opinion, they're great. They're great foundations to movement. And eventually I'll show you more. A big one is going to be figure 8 wrist rolls into reverse figure 8 wrist rolls, but we'll get into that a little bit later. But that's probably where I would go after that, is your ability to transition between turns and wrist rolls. All right, I'm going to go see if there's any questions on Facebook. So far, so good. Yeah, so hope you all are doing well, by the way. Let me know if you've been picking up any other new hobbies or tricks or anything that you've been doing. I'm learning game programming of all things. I'm learning Unity, which is C#, but I'm learning it so I can work better visuals for my projection mapping. But I've been tempted to also think, well, what if I made a game? I mean, it would be really cool, but it would be so time consuming. I probably won't, because I have so many things on my plate. But it would be really fun. I would love to make a game someday before I die, especially now that I know how to program it. Yandertail says, I wish I could donate, but I'm only 13. Hey, you know, I appreciate it either way. That's a really nice gesture. Obviously, because it's a donation, I have no expectations. It really does help, you know, of course, but at the same time, it's you know, to the people that can help, that'd be awesome. And the people that can't, that's okay too. We'll make it work. We've made it work. It's still working. All right, so I'm gonna go back. If you have any more questions, I'm probably gonna give it a few more, you know, maybe 10, 15 minutes. So this is the time to ask the final questions. I'm gonna do a little bit more just spinning because I don't have any questions right now. But if you have any final questions, please get them to me because I'm just about done. I think that's about it for now. Yep, let's go ahead and just get into it. So let's go ahead. I'm just going to go ahead and talk about doubles a little bit, just because we haven't gone into doubles very often. Now I already told you about this trick where you can kind of pinch in, and then all of a sudden you have all these moves where the chuck is connected together. And then we also now have this wrap that we can do from here, and then we wrap it through here, which causes this really nice connection point where these chucks are just stuck together. There's other things you can think about too, but one thing that I wanted to talk about was, as you do a tuck with one hand or a clutch, you can always use the back end of the chuck to roll across with the other side. So as you're doing your motions, you know, or whatever, and then you just kind of rotate into here with the clutch, and then this, you're gonna kind of just hold it nice and still, and you're just gonna kind of aim pretty close to the edge of it, but you're gonna aim the rope right here on the chuck, and as soon as you aim it, it's gonna be kind of like a rotor pass for the nunchuck. We're basically going to reach underneath. It's going to spin around, and we're going to reach underneath, and we're going to grab it from over there. So spin it here, reach underneath, and grab it. Oops! If you grab it too early, you're going to grab it, and they're going to be stuck together. You've got to make sure it rotates just a little bit longer before you finish the rotation, like that. Neat, right? It's very, very, very similar to a front-to-front hand roll, except for this is your wrist. Now, because it's a little bit smaller, it is going to be a little bit trickier. So play around with it a little bit. You may have to start in the middle of the rope as opposed to like, you may not lock it here, but more here, just so it has less room so it can roll to the edge by the time it does a full rotation too. So experiment with the placement of it as well. And see if there's something else you can come up with. Maybe you do want to wrap it over the top and then, I don't know, flick it over or something. I don't know. Just play around and see. There's probably some really cool things you can come up with. Don't just take my word for it. Maybe you could reach underneath here. So like, here's one I just thought of. This is weird, but I don't know. You wrap it, you catch it, you grab underneath here, and then you can pull that out, and you have this locked. You've got these chucks locked together like that. So maybe you want to do it a little bit differently. You're like, you know, tuck, grab, reach, pull, connect them together, rip it out. Now I've got one big giant chuck. I mean, the whole point is when you do a move, learn some tricks with it, but then start thinking out of the box and seeing what else you can do. Let's see, what else can we do with this? Let's just kind of go into play state for a second. Well, another thing we might be able to do is we might be able to wrap it like this to where it locks up, and now we have this really weird nunchuck thing that I have no idea what to do with, but maybe I'll kick the bottom of it and hit my computer. Maybe I'll not hit my computer and do something else. So I'm back to here, we clutch it like this, I rotate it, I lock it through. I don't really know, to be honest. You can come up with some really weird stuff, man. Got like this helicopter thing going on. But the trick is that's kind of how you innovate and come up with your own style is you try it out. And I'm gonna tell you, like 90% of the time it probably won't work. Play with it, see what happens. Boom, what else can you do? Maybe you can get it underneath here, swing it under here, grab, find a way to unlock it, probably popping it this way, right? Oh, I need to transition it one more time, and then we're back into doubles. It was locked up one too many times. See, this is kind of cool because you can see me in the play state. This is how I figure out new moves. So then I think, okay, so how can I get it to unlock? Because it was still twisted when I did that. So we go over here, we make this an over-the-shoulder pass and I catch it. Well, there we go. That was nice. That was pretty simple. And then I just work on fine-tuning it, and then it becomes a Technique Tuesday video. And then 6 months later, someone asks me how to do it, and my brain goes, oh man, that was a long time ago. I did it once, a long time ago. Anyways, now you know my dirty secret. I'm gonna come back here. My mouse got knocked over from the nunchuck smacking the computer. All right. I am going to double check here. So, does anyone have any last final questions about anything that you've seen or anything you'd like to know? Just give it a couple more minutes. Otherwise, I'm gonna call it a night. I will say I finally got a percussion massager. You know, those things you see on the internet. I got this for like $100. It was, you know, these things are never cheap, but if you work out, like this thing is like a drill. It's kind of like someone lightly punching you in the same spot rapidly. So like if you're training really hard and you rip something, when you're training really hard and you're sore, the whole concept is you put it on the sore muscle, and it's kind of like getting a deep tissue massage, so it can kind of bring blood flow back to it to help heal faster. I've been using it for a few days, and I think that it works. I definitely feel like the next day I wake up less sore. It doesn't feel good though to, like, when you have a sore muscle, to put like a power drill into your arm and to like punch it out. But in my opinion, at least in my experience, it looks like it kind of does work. So it's been really nice, to be honest, because like I said, I've been working out a lot more, trying to get back my training and get back into shape and whatnot. So, all right. Well, with that said, I think I'm going to call it. Just give me one more second here. Make sure there's no last final questions. I always like this part, the part where everyone just kind of stares at me and I'm like staring off into the distance. I'm trying to find something though. I still wish that there was this floating camera that was just over my shoulder so you can see what I was looking at instead of seeing my face, which is just kind of hanging open and drooling. So anyways, all right. I will answer the last ones here. Okay, cool. We got a couple more questions. I'll answer these and then I'll probably head out here. Donald Danziel says, super awesome chuck tips. Thank you. You're most welcome. I hope this helps. As always, I hope these live streams help. I personally love live streams a little bit better than the years of random videos that I've been doing lately because I've covered a lot of the tricks. So it's nice to hear what you guys actually need as opposed to me showing you like all these new tricks and more tricks and more tricks. Like doing these live streams helps me to see what you guys actually need. So I really appreciate it. I'm glad you guys have joined me on the live stream. How do the flow chucks work? Do they change automatically? Do you program how they work? When we're talking about flow chucks, I'm assuming we're talking about if they change automatically. I think we're talking about if we're talking about the Ignis chucks, where there's these light patterns and they create pictures and designs. Wow, that's bright. Or my camera's cheap. So if we're talking about flow toys, there's buttons on them and they change by you pushing on them. If we're talking about Ignis, you have to plug it into a computer and program it with software. The Ignis ones, as I always say, I feel like Ignis, they're beautiful chucks, but they are pixel chucks, meaning you have all of these little LEDs everywhere. So any pixel chucks at all, no matter what they are, will be more fragile than regular LED nunchucks or regular LED props. So if you want something for training, I always say go flow toys, and not because I don't like pixel chucks. I think they're beautiful just because they're more fragile. If you want to dazzle, even more so, like if you want to write someone's name or draw someone's face out, then you want to get pixel chucks, but you're going to pay for it because they are more expensive. But when I do shows and when I perform, pixels is definitely like a huge way to like be able to sell gigs and stuff. Whenever I recommend chucks, though, I always recommend flow toys easily because they're durable, they're super bright, they have a ton of modes. You don't have to learn any programming or special tools. You just basically hit a button and go. So if I were to recommend one, I would recommend flow toys. And again, there are buttons that you push, and there's tons of settings. And then when you start getting shows, then you can use those for a lot of instances. But if you need something very specific where you want to be able to sell the ability to draw logos, then you get the pixel chucks and you blow their minds. That's kind of how it works. All right, y'all. I'm going to take off. I hope everyone had a great week, and I will talk to you all next week for sure. But till then, just keep spinning. If you have a video for me, send it ken.flowtricks@gmail.com and we'll review it next week. All right, I'm going to play some video games. I'm still hooked on this game called Neo 2. It's pretty fun. Hope you all have a good night, and I will talk to you all soon.